Shalom, shalom. This is Yasha Ben Israel sitting out here at the park, right off of the Detroit River. Nice rainy day, but it's a peaceful day. In this video, I'd like to talk about her tokens of virginity and what that really is and what that means. Okay? When the Europeans translated the Afro-Asiatic scriptures from Hebrew to English, okay? They translated it from a root word called Samuel. The word is Samuel, okay? That's the root word. The real word in the Hebrew text is Hasemela. 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 You say it fast, Hasemela. Okay? And what Hasemela is, first let me explain to you what similar is, or similar. The word similar. Similar is a feminine aspect of the word similar. The word similar, it pretty much is a word for idol, okay, or image, or a statue, or any figure, okay, that's similar, okay. Then you got similar, which is the feminization of the word similar. When you make the word similar feminine, it becomes similar. And similar, what it means is like a wrapper, okay, a mantle, a covering, a skirt, a dress, a robe. It could mean clothes or a garment of some kind, okay, or simply a cloth, okay. But the word for robe in Hebrew is similar. Why? Because it wraps the female body. For the word also means skirt or dress or robe. It is a feminine word. And when they translated the word hasemela into English, they translated it as the tokens of her virginity. The weird part for that is neither simul or hasemela, the word similar, ha is the, hasemela, the similar, the skirt, the robe, the dress. There is no real logical reason to translate the word hasemela into the tokens, okay? There is no real logical reason to do that when you're doing a word-for-word translation. There's much better words that could have been used than tokens. Excuse me. The reason why the word token was chosen, because now you're crossing cultures. They're doing more than just translating words. You understand what I'm saying? What they're doing is interpolating a Western culture into an Afro-Asiatic text. And this was done to give leeway to Christianity and European white supremacy by interpolating pagan cultures inside of the Afro-Asiatic text, supplanting the Afro-Asiatic culture, okay? And what they have done was replace the word for a robe or a skirt, because this is a feminine term, okay? What they have done was replace the word for a robe or a skirt for the word token, because tokens of her virginity is the best way in their culture to explain virginity and the value of virginity. Because when you're dealing with tokens, you're dealing with coins, you're dealing with things of value, gold tokens, silver tokens. And that's the best way that they can place value on virginity. You understand? By saying tokens of her virginity. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do is go to the book of Exodus here. I mean, not Exodus, the book of Deuteronomy, which is in Hebrew, the book of Devarim. And at the 22nd chapter here, we're going to start the 22nd chapter, and let's start with verse 13. I'm going to read it. And this is the text dealing with the tokens of virginity. Okay. It says, if any man take a wife and go into her and hate her and give occasions of speech against her and bring up an evil name upon her and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not to be a maid. When I came into her, I found her not to be Batuli. Okay? The word there in verse 14, when he said he found her not to be a virgin, it is Lamazati Labatulim. Lamazati Labatulim. Lamazati Labatulim, which means not found no virgins in her. So, in verse 14, where it says, I found her not a maid, in Hebrew, that is Lamazati Labatulim, which is mean, I found her not to be a virgin. Batulim, for virgin there. Okay? Then shall the father of the damsel and her mother, then shall the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth, there go that word, the tokens of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city in the gate. Now in verse 15, the word for tokens of virginity becomes Batuli Na'ar, which is the damsel, my virgin. Because he's talking about the virgin of Yah and the virgin of this father who is making the complaint. That is his virgin. Okay? That virgin belongs to the father, and he called her Abatuli Na'ar, which is, he have not found the damsel's virginity. So as we see here in verse 15, where the word token is asserted there, we find the word Batuli Na'ar, which is my damsel's virginity, basically, or my daughter's virginity, the virginity of his daughter. Okay, the virginity of his damsel, Na'ar, Batuli, my virgin. You know, because this is the father speaking. The father is speaking because this man has made an accusation against his daughter, saying that when he went unto her, he found her not to be a virgin. Okay? Verse 16, and the damsel's father shall say unto the elders, I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hated her. Now, I want to explain something here to give it a more Hebrew thought. The word for man and the word for woman in Hebrew is Aish and Aisha. Okay? It is also the word for husband and wife. I prefer the term man and woman over husband and wife because husband and wife is more of a Eurocentric interpolation that represents European culture. In Hebrew, see, when a man got married, that woman was his woman. That's my woman. That's Ishati. That's my woman. Okay? And a woman will call her man Ishi, which is my man. That's my man. That's my woman. That's how they refer to each other. They didn't refer to each other as these terms like husband and wife and all of this stuff. You know, that's Eurocentric culture. That is strictly my woman and I am strictly her man. Okay? So when I go back to let's start back at verse 16 again, and I'm gonna replace that word wife with the proper Hebrew word woman. And the damsel's father shall say unto the elders, I gave my daughter unto this man to woman. That was supposed to be his woman, and he hated her. And lo, he has given occasions of speech against her, saying, I have found not thy daughter a maid. He said he found her not to be a virgin. Okay? And yet these are, here go that word again, the tokens of my daughter's virginity. And they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city. In verse 17, this word is hasimila. Okay? It is not tokens again. So we find every time that you dealing with the word tokens, there are different things here. In verse 17, it is hasimila, which is the robe. Okay? So let's take that back, and he say, and lo, he has given occasion of speech against her, saying, I found not thy daughter a maid. I found her not to be a virgin. And yet these are the robes, the skirt of my daughter's virginity. And they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city, and the elders of the city shall take that man and chastise him. That's if they found this woman not guilty. Because the father had, some scriptures called it the evidence of virginity. Other scriptures called it the tokens of virginity. In this, what occurred was, it was this cloth that was placed, that covered the girl. It is said that they placed the cloth underneath her, but actually it was a skirt-like robe, a long robe, that she would come to, her husband would come to her, and she would open up the robe, and then they would consummate the marriage on that robe. And then when she take that robe off, that robe is folded up. That robe covered her. It covered her whole body. It wasn't a cloth. It was a robe. A robe like a skirt. You know how robes are long like skirts once you close them like a dress. Okay? And when you open that robe up, bam, They do what they do. They consummate that marriage. And her hymen is broken, and the blood from that hymen leaks onto that dress. And that dress is what you call, or that skirt, or that robe. I prefer robe because that's really what it was. And that robe is what is translated as the tokens of her virginity. Again, verse 18, while left off, then the elders of that city shall take that man and chastise them, and they shall immerse him in 100 shekels of silver, and give them unto the father of the damsel, of the virgin, because he has brought up an evil name upon the virgin of Israel, and she shall be his wife. He may not put her away all of his days. Meaning that because he made a false accusation of her, there is nothing that he can do to really put her away. She could actually go out there and cheat or fornicate or commit adultery. She can become crazy. She can just become the worst woman in the world, and there's nothing that this man can do to get rid of her because he made a false accusation against her. And it is also the same thing that happens in the case of rape. You know, if you found out that you had raped a woman, and this scripture goes on to talk about that a little later on. I'm not going to get really much off into that because I'm talking about the tokens of her virginity. I may, depending on how much time left in the video. But in the tokens of her virginity, you know, what we're dealing with here is how important a woman's virginity is amongst the people of the ancient world, amongst the people of the biblical world. It was said that in other cultures outside of Israel, virginity was very, 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 very important. Okay? Very important. And even to this day, there's cultures around the world that have virginity testings to see if a woman is a virgin or not. Hashemila or Hashemila was actually somewhat similar to a virginity test. And if we look in African societies, you got the Malawi tribe, the Malawi people. You know, they do virginity testings and stuff like that, but their virginity testings are done in a way that is different from others. What they actually do is take the virgin and prepare her for a stranger to come in and amongst her. Pretty much somewhat like, it's cultural. Pretty much somewhat like Babylonian temple whoredom. Okay? But then you have the other tribes, like say the Zulu. The Zulu celebrate virginity. And they have virginity testings to see if young girls are virgins or not. And if this young lady is a virgin, they have all types of exercises, all types of dances, and all types of rituals in which she is to perform. And if she was to pass these rituals and her virginity and proven to be chaste, she is highly honored and highly praised amongst this African community. This is the Zulu community. They celebrate virginity. And in the Zulu community, you can only get married if you was a virgin, because that is an honorable thing. They honored marriage. See, in America, husbandry and wifery is not an honorable thing anymore. It is a business thing, and it is pretty much a political, governmental construct. It is not that which of manhood and womanhood, Ha'ish and Ha'isha, Ha'ishi and Ha'ishiti. Okay, the husband and the wife is actually the man and the woman. So you're dealing with masculinity and femininity. We're dealing with those things. You're not dealing with shit like what the government, construct and creates to be these marriage rituals and things like that. Laws and because America wedding is in laws and marriages is something totally different from that which in the Afro-Asiatic world. You see, and as we go forward, we will see this because see what these tokens of virginity turns out to be in America. American marriages have exchanged the tokens of virginity or hasimila. They changed hasimila, or the robe in which had the woman's hymen breakage blood. They traded that in modern society for your wedding license. And you don't have to be a virgin to have this marriage license. In America would marry a woman that is non-virgin. Her virginity has nothing to do with her being married. The Israelite culture was that somewhat like the Zulu culture. And it is likewise an African culture. It is an Afro-Asiatic culture. And Africa gave birth to Asia, okay? So an Afro-Asiatic culture is a reflection of African culture. And the Israelite culture reflected that of the Zulus when you're dealing with the importance of virginity. You couldn't even get married unless you was a virgin. And this is what this text is dealing with, you see, because the man had a problem with the idea that his woman was not a virgin. And because she was not a virgin, that was room for divorce. If not, have this woman killed, as we will see further along in the scripture. Let me get down here to verse 20. But if this thing be true, and the tokens of virginity be not found for the damsel, meaning that if his accusation is true, and they can't find the dress or the skirt, because there would be, if the woman is not a virgin, even if she had a skirt or a robe or a cloth, however way they done it, it would not have the evidence of her bleeding on it. Okay, which is basically evidence against her. Okay, if this thing be true, and the tokens of virginity be not found for the damsel, then they shall bring out the damsel to the door of her father's house, and the men of her city shall stone her with the stones that she die, because she has wrought folly in the house of Israel, to play the whore in her father's house. So shalt thou put away evil from amongst you. What I want to focus on here is this part right here, where it says to play the whore in her father's house. That was foolishness. And it brought folly in Israel. What does it mean to play the whore in her father's house? What that means is that when we see in Hebrew, the father called the virgin, the word virgin in Hebrew, the pure word for virgin is batula, okay? Which the root word is bat, which is daughter. Okay? Batula, my daughter, my virgin. Okay? Batuli is my virgin. That is the father's virgin. Okay? And that virginity belongs to that father all the way up until this ceremony takes place in which a woman is to get married. Okay? And this is talking about a father giving his daughter, his virgin. That's his virgin. Let me correct that. This is about a father giving Batuli, my virgin, his virgin. There's a scripture in here in the Hebrew text. One of these words is meaning a word for his virgin, Batulik. Okay. So we dealing with the virginity of the father. The father's virginity, the father's virgin is his daughter, Batuli. And up until he gives her away, she is to remain his Batuli. Okay? She is to remain his virgin. I like the Hebrew because all of this stuff about tokens of virginity, it almost leads towards whoredom because it talks about, it places a value on virginity, a monetary value on virginity. You know, I was looking on the web not too long ago, and there was this lady who sold her virginity. It was way up there. I think it was in the tens, maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars. You know, but the video was so foolish, I just couldn't even continue to watch it. Some old European man bought the woman's virginity from her. See, this is what happens in the mindset of the European when they think it's their culture, tokens of virginity. But the father's value was, that's my virgin. And they place value upon when you gave your daughter away, that it was trusted. It was a dowry paid for this woman. The man had to pay for this woman, a hefty price for this woman. And he is expected to get a virgin. Okay? He is to pay this daughter a dowry. And he is expected to get a virgin. And if he accused her of not being a virgin and she was a virgin, then he has to pay her, the father, again. A hefty, stiff price, penalty. Okay? This is how the Israelite marriages worked. Okay? There was a dowry paid to that man's father because the virginity of that daughter did not belong to that woman. It did not belong to that man. It did not even belong to her mother. It belonged to that father. And they shall bring forth the damsel. Start back at 21. And they shall bring forth the damsel. They shall bring out the damsel to the door of her father's house, and the men of her city shall stone her with stones, that she die, because she has wrought folly in the house of Israel, to play the whore in thy father's house. And so shalt thou put evil away from amongst you. It is an evil thing for a girl to have a sexual encounter as Batuli. Okay? As the virgin of her father, that is a wicked, foolish act for her to give away her virginity up under her father's care. That virginity belonged to that father because it is that father who brought that girl into this world. And it is that father who have taken care of that girl all the way up until he gave her away to this man. Everything she know about life, culture, ethics should have been instilled by the father. The problem with this today is that there is no tokens of virginity. The father has been taken out of the picture. Even in Western Christianity, as I was a child, the father gave away his daughter to the groom. It was a part of the marriage ceremony. Today, the father neither is the father or virginity, which is the two most important elements in a godly marriage. A father must be there, and the woman's virginity must be there at the marriage ceremony. This is why I say the Western concept of marriage, the modern Western Anglo-Saxon English European concept of marriage is different from that of the ancient Eastern, Oriental, Afro-Asiatic, ancient old world. You see, the two most important elements of Afro-Asiatic marriage, whether it's even old Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, the two most important elements wasn't the woman. It was the father and the woman's virginity. Today, no man questions a woman that he marries virginity. He can care less about it. 9 times out of 10, he knows she's not a virgin. He won't ask the woman whether she was a virgin or how many men she had slept with. Neither would she be honest in responding to such a thing. Okay? This is the reason why she had to have somebody to bat for her virginity. And who was to go to bat for her virginity? It was her father. For if this woman was to go out and have sexual relations up under her father's care, she is bringing shame to the father. I can remember in African American communities, there was a little game that African American children would play. They would play house, and they would play hide go get it. And what would end up happening is nothing but a game that kids play for them to smooch and hump around and have some type of sexual entertainment with the opposite race at an early age. Okay? I remember kids getting caught by adults with their pants down playing these games. And more than anybody, the daughter got chastised real hard. She got beat, spanked, and got that ass whipped. The boys didn't get beat up as much. They got talked to, they got chastised verbally, you understand? But the girls usually got punished, they got degraded. They got their mothers and their fathers, their parents really put their foot in their ass. Because you don't do that in your father's house, in your mother's house, in your parents, up under your parents' care. You do that when you're grown. This is why zina. When you do that, you commit zina. You commit adultery. You commit a child, being in a child's place, acting as an adult. You understand? This is what adultery really, really means. Being in the child's place, acting as an adult. Okay? Now, in English, it means something else. You know, and I will not even get off into that because I am a Hebrew Israelite teacher. Okay? The importance is that today's woman, she has played the harlot in her father's house. Today's American woman, whether she's white, black, Jewish, Arabic, it doesn't even matter. If she was born in America, she has played the harlot. And by the time she gets married, okay, she is no longer a virgin. And what I'm reading to you here is the law, okay? The law. And I am going to show you why this is taking place, okay? I'm reading to you the law about virginity and the importance of virginity. If you read further down in Deuteronomy 22, you'll read about the rape case, and if a man raped a woman, how that man is stuck with that woman. Why? Because virginity was important. You slept with her, you keep her. You went through all of that, you keep her. Now, if the woman's crazy, retarded, anything, whatever, you stuck with her forever. If she turns out to sleep with other men, you stuck with her forever. Because you should not, it is important. Virginity in the ancient world was important. And there's no value upon virginity today. And I'm going to show you why there's no value upon virginity today in the African American community. When we go a few books back, go from Deuteronomy 22, which dealing with the law. It is the law that an Israelite man married a virgin. And it is the law that the father give this virgin over, give his virgin over to the man. And that virgin becomes that man's woman. For when she has sex, she goes from childhood virginity to womanhood. She becomes Isha. That is the rites of passage for womanhood. Sexuality takes a young girl and promotes her into adulthood. This is the reason why the word zana, whoredom, and adultery is all the same word in Hebrew. Okay, the reason why this took place, because as you go to Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, it talks about the children of Israel. And after the Most High had given the children of Israel these laws, he said this right here. He said, and it shall come to pass that if thou shalt listen or hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. The Most High, after he gave Moses and the children of Israel the law, he told them that if you listen diligently and do what I say diligently, try to make sure that you understand this clearly. Not that you have some idea or belief system, but we want you to understand this clearly, how this thing should go. And when you do that, he said, I will lift you up and make you supreme over all of the Gentiles. He said that he will make you El Elyon over all the Gentiles in Hebrew. He will lift you up and make you supreme. That's El Elyon. He will make you supreme. He will make you the God of the Gentiles. He will lift you up and make you the highest and the baddest thing on this planet. Surely the African Americans have the potential to be that, for they are a potent people. But because they disobey the laws of the Most High Yahweh Elohim, Elohika, Elohenu, Eli, El Elyon, the Supreme, because they disobeyed the laws, well, we'll see what happens. See, because the Most High talked about what he would do in Deuteronomy 28, how he would bless you and lift you up, how everything you set your hands out to do, it would be blessed. He talked about how you shall be the heads, how he'll lift you up, you'll be the heads. But when we go down to verse 13, we'll see what happens. In verse 13, it says, And the Lord shall make thee the head, and not the tail, and thou shalt be above only. Wow. Said the Most High shall make Israel the head and not the tail, and they shall be above only. The day that you hear the truth, listen diligently for it, swiftly. Try to find the truth in it, not try to find a belief in it or acceptance in it. Try to find the realness in it and how that realness can benefit you. When you do that, he said that he will make you the head and not the tail, and you will always be up, above, on top, only. And thou shalt not be beneath, and thou shalt hearken, if that thou hearken or listen unto the commandments of the Lord thy God, which I command thee this day, today, Hayom, to observe them and to do them. Verse 15, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not listen, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahweh Elohim, the Lord thy God, if you will not do them, listen to his voice to do all of his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall be upon thee, and they shall overtake thee. Okay? The reason why the African American is not, the father is not needed in a marriage, and the virginity, neither the father nor the virginity is required. And the reason why that is so is because the children of Israel disobeyed the Most High God. When they followed the Most High all throughout the Moorish Empire, they ruled the world in science, business, technology, okay, trade, books, intelligence, doctors, lawyers, teachers, entertainers. You hear me? Astrologers, astronomers. Advanced in chemistry. Had all types of advanced mathematics. This is what was taking place during the Moorish Empire, because the children of Israel during the Moorish Empire, which were the leaders the Phoenicians and the Hebrews were the earliest leaders of the Moorish Empire. And as the Phoenicians folded to the Roman empires because they did not hear this day from Yahweh, and the children of Israel did, the children of Israel end up becoming the leaders and the rulers and the more dominant of the Moorish Empire. And the Most High blessed the Moorish Empire, and the Moorish Empire blessed the world. But when the children of Israel disobeyed the Most High Yahweh Elohim, okay, as he said, these are the things that would happen to you. He said, you will be no longer the head, but you shall become the tail. Okay? You will no longer be the head, but you shall be the tail. Now think about that. Who is the head? The head of all races is the man. And no longer will the black Afro-Asiatic Israelite race, religion, and culture be the head. Neither will the black Afro-Asiatic male be the head. For he is the head of the Israelite society. Neither will that society be the head, and neither will that man be the head. The Afro-Asiatic Israelite man will be the tail and the bottom of the society. He will be the bottom of his household. He will be the bottom of his family. If we was to read down here in the 30th verse, I passed it. these are one of the things that would take place. He said, and thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. And thou shalt build a house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and thou shalt not gather the grapes thereof. The problem is that the reason why a woman is no longer a virgin, and the reason why her virginity is not required in a marriage, and the reason why her father is not required in a marriage is because the children of Israel has sinned. You see? And as the man being the head of the family, he has become the tail of the family, just like Deuteronomy 28 says. And as we further read, he talks about how a man shall be betrothed to a woman before he even marries a woman. She would already been and lived with somebody else. It talks about how a man would get with the woman and move with the woman and try to build the house. Try to build a family, because the word bait means house and it also means family. He would try to build a house in the family. He would set out to build it. May even get the woman pregnant, have children. But he would not be able to live in that house. He would not be able to live in that family. Okay? This tells you that every woman, when a woman has had sex up under her father's care, or up under the time where she should have been up under her father's care, or any form of premarital sex, she has committed what is called a zana in Hebrew. Okay? She has committed whoredom in Hebrew. So, if she's betrothed to a man, she is up under the same laws as a wife. Being that woman, that man's girlfriend, she is up under the same laws as if she was his wife, his woman. Okay? Which means that she was not to go sleep with another man. Now, as your girlfriend, before you even marry this woman, before you can even say I do to this woman, according to Deuteronomy 28, the 30th chapter, this woman will have already slept. Your woman will not be a virgin because she have committed whoredoms. Why? Because you ain't going to be in the house. The father was put out of the house. The woman put the father out of the house to go commit whoredoms with another man. It's right here in the scriptures. The reason why no woman virginity is required, and the reason why her father is not required inside of a marriage, is because of this. The man has been emasculated. The black Afro-Asiatic man has been brought down to nothing. And when he is brought down to nothing, all masculinity is brought down to nothing. For he is the epitome of masculinity. Okay? For Adam, in the book of Genesis, the 2nd chapter, you'll read how the Garden of Eden in which Adam was created was an association with the first country ever mentioned in the scriptures, which is Ethiopia or Cush, meaning that this was a black man, and that Adam, the humankind, the human race, started with black people. They are the original man, and it is amongst them where masculinity rests. The term toxic masculinity is a term that was coined specifically for white, rich, dominating men. And you have to have all three. You just can't be white and dominant. You just can't be white and rich. You just can't be a man who's dominant and rich. You got to be white. It is toxic masculinity when that coin was phrased and coined, when that term was coined. It was coined with rich, powerful white men in mind, because they cannot be masculine just being white. They cannot be masculine just having money. They can't be dominant without being white and having money. It has to take all three of those. This is reason why the alpha male in the business world, if something was to happen in his business and he go to the penitentiary, his alphaness is completely gone, because he's really not alpha. He's toxic. You understand? His masculinity is toxic. It is weak. You dig? Toxic masculinity. That is not for the African American masculinity. Now, some of the African Americans, because of being raised by women, and why are men raised by women? Because the whole entire African American race forgot about Yahweh Elohim. They turned their back on him. They turned his back on his laws. And one of those curses was that every woman that you sleep with is going to be a whore. Your wife is going to be a whore, because your wife is going to be then already committed zina before you married her, according to Deuteronomy 28:30. The man is going to be emasculated. He's going to be thrusted out of the home, leaving his daughter to go out here to become a thought and a whore, to commit zina. A woman could say, well, I was raised by my mother. My father wasn't in the house. Well, that is the reason why you are a whore. Okay? I remember when I was married and my daughters were young, I understood the games the kids play, house and how go get it and all of that shit. So, I had beautiful daughters. Beautiful. And all of the little boys wanted to play with my kids. You see? I would not let them be long periods without me coming to go check on them. You understand what I'm saying? This is what a father does, because that virginity is mine. You see? And I would always go and check on them, and you'd see the frustration in the little boy's face, like, damn, here go her father. You goddamn right. Now, in a home where the father is absent, and which is like how I was raised, the mother is too busy doing whatever the fuck she's doing. Very subjective shit. Dealing with the other kid's mother. They all socializing, maybe drinking, smoking, partying, or whatever the fuck they're doing. Whatever they doing, the mother allow these kids to go out there and play and don't even go out there and check on them. You see? This is why the scripture says she created whoredom in her father's house. So, when you read in Deuteronomy 28, it talks about somewhere around the 15th and the 25th verse, it talks about how the children of Israel will be taken by a nation. How they will be subdued by a nation. You understand what I'm saying? How the children of Israel will be subdued by a nation, and it talk about pretty much how these people, they going to do a doozy on our minds. We're going to go through all types of psychological trauma, post-traumatic and traumatic slave syndromes. Yes, this is all prophesied in Deuteronomy 28. And just like The Jesus of the New Testament said, how can the thief come into a house unless he bind the strong man? You see? What this society has done, they have captured the children of Israel, packed them up in ships. You'll go read down further, it's between verse 64 and 68. You'll see how these same people was packed off in ships and dispersed off to the nations of the world. Sold off into slavery. And then once and you read about how once this nation subdued them, the first thing that they did was attack the men. They subdued the strong man of the house. Okay? And when the father is not there in the house, just like Deuteronomy 28:30, it allows, and you got centuries and decades of this type of tradition being promulgated throughout the pagan heathen society. Now the father is, nor her virginity is no longer required, because it is the father that brings masculinity, that brings strength, that brings God to the family. As he had his family, God had that family, and God becomes the centrifugal force of the community. Then it spreads throughout the nation. You see? But when they take the man, and the same society that enslaved you, all written in between Deuteronomy 28 and Deuteronomy 22. You don't require the tokens of a woman's virginity. You don't require her father to be there. Because, my question is to the woman, where did you lose your virginity? Whose house was you in? Was you in your house? Was you in the man's house? Or was you in your father's house? If you was in that man's house, why wasn't you married to that man? Because you were still under your father's tutelage, care, provisions. And if you wasn't, you should have been. You was intended to have been. You were supposed to have been. Why was it? Because your mother was breaking the law. You see? Your mother was breaking the law and she put your daddy out. Or your father broke the law and just left the woman who he had got pregnant, the virgin, his damsel. He left her. There's a penalty for that too. Men, you don't leave your wives unless it's for the cause of her whoredoms. If she have not committed whoredom, there's no reason for you to leave your woman, bro. So you leave your woman. Now you cause her to be the whore because you opened up Pandora's box. She wasn't craving sex until you brought it to her. Now you're not able to feed that demon. Now she has to go out here and play the whore. You see? And after about 2 or 3 boyfriends of this, or 2 or 3 men of playing the whore with, she becomes accustomed to it. She done did 3, now she wants 6. She done did 6, now she wants 12. This is evidenced and exemplified in the scripture in the text about divorce. When the man divorced the woman, then she went to another man, and then he divorced her, then she went to another man. Why? Because the more men she has, it opens up Pandora's box for a more insatiable appetite sexually in the female. Okay? Now she can no longer live like a real Israelite, but just how Eve lived. She doesn't have the Israelite feminine nature. She has the feminine nature of Eve, just like all women. The Israelite nature is much different. Okay? It's just a different thing. The whole Israelite society versus the Western society is a different thing, but I'm getting ready to wrap this video up. My point was to get you guys to understand that virginity is important. And especially in a marriage. Any woman that you marry that is not a virgin, that is not your woman. You belong to the first man that took her virginity. Even if what if she was raped? Yes, well, she belonged to the nigga who raped her, according to the scriptures. I don't care whether you like it or not. This is what has been documented and recorded for hundreds, if not thousands of years. You see? What you got to understand is that a whore is not, in Hebrew thought, a woman who's selling sex. A woman who is having sex outside of wedlock, that is a whore in Hebrew. Okay? And if your woman is not a virgin and you marry her, she is a whore and you are a whoremonger. One thing is for certain is that American law does not trump the law of Yahweh Elohim. Pharisee Judaism and rabbinical law does not trump the law of the Levitical priest and Yahweh Elohim. There's no way that you could say you believe in God, the God of the Bible, any Bible. There's no way you could say you believe in God and don't believe that every woman that has had sex outside of wedlock is a whore. If you marry a woman and you did not take her virginity, you married a whore. Okay? Now you look at Deuteronomy 28 and look at that example. This man going with the chick, she out there fooling around with other cats. He think he number one when he really number two. He's just the beta male provider, the guy who building up her life and her house, while she out sexing another man, just like the scripture said. Cause you're not her man. She don't belong to you. You wasn't the first to hit that. She belonged to the first that hit that. The reason why a lot of women will sit up here and lie to you, man. The reason why a lot of these women will sit up here and lie to you about Detroit is beautiful. The reason why a lot of these people will sit up here and lie to you, man, women will lie to you about, oh, I don't even think about it. That's not true that your first love. You got songs about my first love. You got all types of songs about your first love, your first one, because that is real. What it is that first love and broke that woman's heart so bad that she chose to move on, and to go on without him. But the truth of the matter is that she did love that man like that. And that is her first love. And she will never ever, she can't love, if she didn't love him, she can't love you. Because that's who she loved. You understand? And if that first man damaged her, she will have an imprint of damagement. And every man she sleep with is going to be that type of man that damages her. For that is the lifestyle she's going to be imprinted. That's going to be the genetic code that is imprinted inside of her. Okay? So, understand that when you with a woman, that is not your woman. That is not your wife. That's not your girlfriend. If you didn't take her virginity, or if her virginity was not given to you, she is not yours. You just another turn on the dick carousel. Okay? She's not your woman, it's just your turn, buddy. When she get off you, she going to somebody else. You best to believe that. And it's going to be swiftly. Matter of fact, she made 9 times out of 10 to go to somebody else while she's with you. I'm pulling up over here in the hood, finna go check on my mom's. That's what I was really going to do, but I have some thoughts on my head. But before I finish that, I want to say something real quick, and I'm finna go ahead and check on my old mother. Uh, the important there's a situation that I've seen take place where the father is not in the home, okay, and because the father is not in the home, that's almost like a husband leaving his wife, okay. When there's no real man dominating. Because the world's bodily at first, before, in the old world. You was her master. You dominated her. You dig what I'm saying? When there was no man to dominate her, you left her wild to play the harlot. If she had no father figure in her life, and that father figure was not a holy, righteous man who lived by the laws of Yahweh, there's a great chance that the woman that you pick is going to be a whore. All women are not whores. Baby females are not whores. Young 12, 13, 14, 15, and even 20-year-old women that have not had sex are not whores. It is those who have had sex outside of virginity. That woman is the whore. Now, like in Deuteronomy 28:30, when the man is kicked out of the house, now how's a man going to raise his daughter and he kicked out of the house? For surely he can only be a very small benefit to her. He cannot teach her the way she needs to be taught. You see? He cannot take care of her the way she needs to be taken care of. He cannot discipline her the way she needs to be disciplined. And what's going to happen is that man that should be the head of her life, that father that does not abide by the laws of the Most High, he that should have been the head of her life is become the tail of the woman's life and the tail of his daughter's lives and the tail of his son's lives. All because you're not in the household. You're not going to gain the respect that a father would have that lived inside of the household. For I have raised children in-house and out of house. Then I've also lived with women who had children who wasn't mine. And just because I was there, those children benefited off me in ways that my children couldn't. There's a situation I hear about where a young girl living with her mom turned 15, 16 years old. It is traditional that the mother give the daughter permission to have sex because she gives her permission to have a boyfriend, and which is okay in a betrothal, but this is not a betrothal. For that boyfriend is going to be the one who takes her virginity, and he is not going to stay with her. He is not going to marry her because you have not instilled the laws of the Most High in him or her. You should have made him work and worship for her, just like just like Joseph's father-in-law did with his daughters Rachel and Leah. And in that work, you teach this man the laws, the statutes, and the commandments of the Most High, or he can't have your daughter. So what's going to end up happening is that you raised inside this house without your daughter, and your daughter raised inside this house without you. And the mother is going to give her permission to have sex and a boyfriend at 15, 16, 17, 18 years old. She's going to give her that permission, and some man is going to rob your daughter of her virginity because the curse is still living. Because as of Deuteronomy 28:30, you took on this woman and she laid with another man. The house that you built, you ain't gonna be able to live in it. The family you live in, you're not gonna be able to live with. The garden, the grapeyard, the grapevine that you built, you're not gonna be able to eat the grapes of it. You're not gonna be able to eat the fruits of your labor in this relationship called family under the curse. No woman that is not a virgin is worthy of marriage. She's only fit for concubinage. What a concubine is a woman who by Israelite law is unfit for marriage. The woman that you love, she could be your girlfriend. You could treat her like your wife. You could respect her like your wife, and she could respect you like that. But the legalities of matrimony, she cannot have. And you cannot give it to her. Because the legalities of matrimony that you should benefit from, she did not give it to you. I'm out of here, y'all. Peace. I love y'all. I gotta go. Shalom alaikum.